If Trump is arrested, how do you think his supporters will react? People don't realize how anticlimactic it will be. Trump and others and making a big show saying the FBI is going to bust down his door at Mar-a-Lago and drag him away in handcuffs. That won't happen. The DA will contact his lawyers to let them know they have issued an arrest warrant and they will schedule a date for Trump to turn himself in. He goes to the police on that, has fingerprinted, mugshot taken and processed. He'll then be arraigned and released on his own recognizance. All this will be worked out beforehand by his lawyers and the DA. He might fight extradition in Florida and possibly win with the right judge. But then he will be arrested whenever he goes back to NYC, which he has to at some time. Even once Hess arraigned, it will take years for the case to go anywhere. Case in point, Ken Paxton has been awaiting trial for years. This is just home making noise for his constituents. My understanding is extradition is only to confirm the court has the right person. It's about identity. Not sure any judge will go astray of that rule. Otherwise, you are correct. It will be very underwhelming. Not sure any judge will go astray of that rule. This is Florida we're talking about. Yeah, but DeSantis knows that if he can get Trump out of the way, he all but clinches the Republican nomination, which is exactly not how things should go, but most likely will. Bingo. I was going to reply this as well. No way DeSantis interferes with this if he's also trying to get the nomination. Yeah, he can't win without Trump supporters. He's got to cleave off enough that support him but don't think he should run again, and they'll be off the board if DeSantis does anything other than keep his mouth shut. All the other Republicans, hopefully, would be gone if he does try to interfere. Emo, DeSantis is totally deluded if he thinks he can be what Trump was. DeSantis doesn't have the decades or name recognition. He didn't cultivate a persona that was at one time enjoyed by folks all over the political spectrum. Yes, there was point long before Obama and birtherism where liberals didn't hate Trump, and found him entertaining. DeSantis' only base will be the hardcore right. He won't win the same support from less radical conservatives who voted for Trump due to name recognition. You know what most Americans know about DeSantis? Hess, the guy trying to duck with your Marvel and Disney films. As a former New Yorker, I never found Donald Trump entertaining. He's been a very public, very creepy asshole since the 80s. I was born in the Midwest in '81 and remember Trump being a punchline even when I was a kid. His name was associated with tackiness. His mugshot will be the dankest meme of all time. And the height and weight stats as part of the booking process. I hadn't thought of that. I now wait breathlessly. I hope we get handprints. To see his tiny little baby hands. Madame Tussauds in Las Vegas has his handprints, and yes, they are small for someone his size. So that's why he thinks everything he holds is bigger than expected. Bigly. I have the best words. Lots of social media posts with excellent punctuation, factual information. And lots of the in your car screaming at your phone acting tough genre of TikTok videos. While wearing Oakleys. You can't forget the Oakleys. Don't forget your tap-out shirt. Optional Punisher logo with thin blue line tooth. I find it hilarious that the kind of people who put that crap on their cars are exactly the kind of people that the real Punisher would go after. Yeah, Lamau. Especially when Frank literally does what he does because he believes the cops aren't fit too. I expect to hear several mentions of Hunter Biden's laptop. It's funny how people will say someone else broke the law, so Trump shouldn't go to jail. It's like you're on trial for murder and your main defense is there are other murderers. I am going to try that the next time I am pulled over for speeding. Yes, but did you know some people shoplift? I actually heard a gentleman testify in court one time that he was speeding, but the two cars in front of me were going faster. It didn't work. Sounds like the classic I lost a street race defense. I lost a street race defense. It's worse because the guy who was really losing the race had to turn on his lights and sirens. I was once told that you don't need to outrun a bear, you just need to outrun the other people in your group, because the bear will catch the slowest person. So by extrapolation I can conclude that the police are, in fact, bears. No, the police are often unbearable. Probably surprised. Considering the number of times people claimed he'd be arrested and he wasn't. I'd be surprised too. The walls are closing in. Pretty much every political pundit left of Mitt Romney by this point. Lul, did you see the segment Jon Stewart did about it on his show The Problem? He had a compilation of common phrases journalists used to talk about the issue, and the walls are closing in was one often repeated. I've seen a video of Jon Stewart talking to what I believe was a far-right politician. I'm not American, so not too up to date with who's who and what's what, and for days I couldn't stop thinking about how Stewart basically annihilated the dude's entire terrible argument, used his own logic against him, made him shove his foot in his own mouth, etc. That was honestly the most satisfying thing I'd seen in a whole month. I can't even remember who he was talking to or what it was about, just how satisfying it was, lol. Check out his new show. He does something like that on every issue he touches. The one I was talking about up thread was the show he did on media for minimum 1440, though if you can you should watch it all. I started watching the show after watching the video you're referencing. It was about trans kids and it was on the first episode of the second season. Link to the segment about trans kids you Spectrophilias was talking about for those curious, youtube.com. The one about the stock market is really good, too. He's interviewing the chairchief of the second, and considering it's such a touchy subject that impacts daily life of nearly 100% of people in the nation and almost that much around the world, and for how corrupt much of Wall Street is from a historical and sociology perspective, there's a lot of insight and valuable, information there. You can watch the show's full segment here, too, which is, really, really good. Then, if you're still interested and not bored, another video that's about what brought about much of this subject and issue is excellent. Only 6 minutes. Edit, and if you're really still not bored, then the website marketliteracy.org is something you should read through, as well. Watch that one on Friday. It was really informative. I'm not from the US, but from what I gather, your biggest ducking problem is having lobbying be legal. Mind you, having it illegal wouldn't eliminate it, but letting corporations actually fund campaigns and go to Congress openly to lobby for their own interest is full-on insanity. I expect them to let the judicial process play out and hold off on any highly emotional response until the case has concluded and prosecutors have had an opportunity to explain their side of the story. After all, Trump supporters are famous for being calm, well-informed, and level-headed. I didn't think it was satire until I got to I expect them. You should have zero expectations for these people, because no matter how low you've set them, they'll always manage to surprise you. Not sure, but I feel like we'll finally get a true understanding of what the battery life on a rascal scooter is. This was his plan all along. It's part of 100-dimensional chess. It's also that the other guy can get really arrested. This is probably the most realistic amongst the Q crowd. Add the word cabal and vampires somewhere in there. You misspelled lizard people. There will be bloodshed in the streets. The heavens will open and fire will rain from the sky. Entire civilizations will be destroyed. The world will be plunged into darkness. People will resort to cannibalism. Demons will emerge from the depths of hell and consume our children. Brendan Fraser will get his Oscar revoked. It will be chaos and madness. Human sacrifice. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. Ha 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 ha. Man, I have seen shit that'll turn you white. Yes, Your Honor, it's true, this man has no dick. They will blame everyone except the guilty party. They'll make excuses for why his crimes are not really crimes. They'll point the finger and try to say other people who haven't committed crimes are criminals. They'll attack law enforcement and DOS and demand to defund them. Then they'll claim to be the party of law and order. Wasn't that Nixon's stance? When the president does it, it isn't illegal. He wasn't even president when he did this. They'll whine on social media and wait for Fox to build them a counter-narrative they can run with. They'll blame wokeness and the usual targets. Then they'll claim exoneration when he's released on his own recognizance in a few days. The only interesting question is what DeSantis will do. If he muddies Trump's extradition from Florida, he could get in trouble with the feds. If he lets the Manhattan to take him, then he risks the wrath of MAGA. Ooh, that will be fun to watch. Pops much corn.